So what about the role of the academic trials in all of this? We're going to have two nice examples now, and to tell us about them, please welcome the trial managers, Lea Levoyer and Molly Purcell, for their presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will introduce you some updates about the TREOCAPA study. So TREOCAPA, as you know, is a study about the patent ductus arteriosus, which is associated with a lot of morbidities and mortality. There are several publications about the PDA, but the management is still uncertain and subject to a lot of controversy. There are also several studies about the management, especially with indomethacin and ibuprofen, but these treatments are not recommended for prophylaxis treatments and are associated with a lot of adverse events, and that's why we set up TREOCAPA study. So the study was conducted in a population of extreme preterm infant of 23 to 28 weeks of gestational age baby. And the main objective was to determine if an early prophylactic treatment of the PDA by acetaminophen could reduce mortality and morbidity by a premature closure of the PDA. So it is one of the 3 non-industry viability study of C4C, and it was selected after it received 57 expression of interest. So the study is a phase 2-3 study with a Bayesian approach. It was planned to be conducted in 16 countries, but finally only 15 open. And we opened 46 sites, but only 43 recruited. So there is a phase 2, which is a dose-finding study, and it was conducted in 30 preterm infants of 23 to 26 weeks of gestational age. And there is a phase 3, which is a placebo-controlled superiority trial, randomized and double-blind, and we plan to include 794 preterm infants of 23 to 28 weeks of gestation. So here is the design of the phase 2. So the treatment was given during the 5 first day of life, with a loading dose given during the 12 first hour of life, and followed by 19 maintenance dose administered every 6 hours. So the phase 2 was completed in October 2021. The dose found for this baby was 25 milligrams per kilogram. And the whole results were published in November 2023 in open access and are available on our websites in the newsletter of November 2023. So the phase 3 was conducted in the same population as the phase 2, but was extended to 27 and 28 weeks of gestational age babies, for which we already have a dose. So it was a double-blind study with 2 arms, one acetaminophen arm versus a placebo arm. And the primary outcome is surviving at 36 weeks of gestational age without morbidities. So the design of the phase 3 is the same as the phase 2, but with a follow-up until 36 weeks of gestational age. So about the inclusion, we are really happy with the inclusion because we achieve our target with 791 randomized participants and analyzable participants, which allow us to have the power to detect 10% differences between the 2 arms. So the recruitment was half in France and half in the other European countries, with Switzerland at the top of the European recruitment. And regarding the recruitment between the different age groups, the recruitment is relatively homogeneous, unless for 23 weeks babies, where we have less participants, but it's probably because it's pretty new to take care of this baby in Europe. So since July 2024, we set up some end-of-studies activities. So since September 2024, we already have completed the ECRF data completion, the site monitoring, and also the biological sample repatriation. Regarding the IMP destruction, it was done progressively after each monitoring visit, and it's still in progress. And the database review and the PV reconciliation is also in progress, and it should be finalized before the end of the month. And so for December 2024, we plan to begin the database log, the ECRF signature, and the closeout visits. And we hope to have closed all the sites before the end of the year. And regarding the analysis, so we started the blind analysis, which is currently in progress, and we would like to start the final analysis on unblinding data in 2025 and to publish the results in the aftermath in 2025. So here is the timeline overview of the whole study. So it started in 2018 with the submission of the letter of intention. We start the inclusion in 2020. And then in February 2021, so soon after the beginning of the study, we have a safety issue about gastrointestinal complication, which conducted to temporary out of the study. But we were able to resume the inclusion, and the phase 2 could be completed in October 2021, and the phase 3 continue until April 2024, with several interim analyses all along. And as I said, the final analysis is planned for 2025. So here is our retro planning for the end of studies activities. So we are currently resolving the last queries on the ECRF to be able to sign the ECRF and to perform the closeout visits in December 2024. And in the aftermath, may perform the final analysis. So we are really happy about how the things goes on, because we succeeded to maintain our timeline and initial timeline. I would also say a word about the PPI activities which were implemented all along the study. So we would like to thanks a lot EFCNI for their support. And even today, after the end of inclusion, we still work together, especially about a thank you letter for the parents, which is available on our website. And also with a feedback video of the TREOCAPA parents who talk about their experience in the TREOCAPA study. And in 2025, we will work, when the first results will be available, we will work on how to disseminate the TREOCAPA results to the general public and to the parents of the TREOCAPA child. Among our activities, we also have the TREOCAPA long-term study, which is a 2-year follow-up study to assess the neurodevelopment, thanks to a parental questionnaire. So we plan to include 500 participants of TREOCAPA study. And currently, we already opened 21 sites in 5 countries, and we have already recruited more than 70 participants. So we are really happy with the inclusion rate. So all this study was made of successes and challenges. So the main successes we would like to highlight was the great collaboration and investment of all the study team. We would also like to thank the National Hub and the CTU for their essential role in the coordination. And we would also highlight the good communication with sites thanks to the investigators meeting and the newsletter. Of course, one of our best successes is the achievement of the inclusion targets. And we also would like to highlight the high-quality scientific support from the DSMB, which was very valuable, especially for the safety issue. And also the PPI activities, which allow to reassure parents and to help them to understand the study and to include their child. However, the study was not without its difficulties, of course, and we have to face some challenges, especially with the heterogeneity of local requirements. We also have a safety issue that slowed down a little the study, and the IMP shortage due to the Brexit that also slowed down the study. We also face a Swiss medic inspection, which was a real challenge for us. And we also face the difficulties due to the work in NICU with understaffing and overload work in the NICU. But finally, we were able to face all these challenges, and it was thanks to very good collective work. And the success of this study could not be possible if we haven't have a very good interaction between all actors and partners of the research. So some of them are mentioned in the slide, and we would like to thank them all. And here is the photos of some investigators who took part of the study, and we also would like to thank them because it's thanks to all of you that we can achieve this work. So thank you very much.
Is it just the next one? No. Sorry. Maybe I could just introduce myself first. I am the trial manager working at the MRC CTU at the University College London, working on the other academic study, the KD CAAP study. So just waiting for the slides. Thank you. KD CAAP is a Kawasaki disease coronary artery aneurysm prevention trial. I thought I'd start just by giving a timeline of the key events that have happened to KD CAAP and giving a bit of context. So we started in 2019 where we had our grant approved, thank you. And 2020, busy year, we had our first protocol approved in a participating country. And then of course we had, we're working in a post-Brexit Europe, we had a global pandemic, and we also had the emergence of a disease called PIMS-TS as a result of COVID, which had very clinical symptoms to Kawasaki disease, so threw in some difficult discussions and issues there. Despite that, we managed to open our first site in September of 2020. We got our first enrollment in January of 2021, sorry. We managed to get to 25 participants in July of 2022. In March 2023, we had 50 enrolled. And finally, we're on to 2024, where we managed to get to 100 participants in June of this year. We ended a recruitment at the end of July, and we had our last patient last visit last month. So the key achievements I'm going to talk about today, in spite of all of those problems we had earlier on in the study, we did manage to open 55 sites in 12 different countries, 103 participants enrolled across 10 different countries and from 35 of those sites. And we have had collaboration with 15 of the national hubs. So I'm just going to go through each one. This is just a map just showing really how far across Europe we managed to conduct this study. So you can see on the left where all of the participating countries were, and then on the right you can see a pin for every single site and hospital that managed to open. So we really managed to cover a very vast amount of Europe, and that also included a lot of countries that at the University College London we hadn't personally worked with before. And this is obviously just a mention to all of those hospitals that opened the study and worked really hard to get this data. We concluded the study with 103 participants enrolled. Now, I will say this is less than the sample size we'd originally set out to get, but you can imagine with 103 participants coming from 35 different sites, it's a very rare patient population. It's difficult to know where the patients are going to be. But regardless, I really like this graph because you can see how each country has chipped in to get that nice total. So we had 10 different countries being able to contribute to that data set, and we finished with 50 participants in the treatment arm and 53 participants in our control arm. So analysis is going to be done using a Bayesian technique, and this was agreed upon following independent scientific review. The analysis will allow us to make clinically meaningful statements about the probability that steroids, which is our experimental drug, are going to be beneficial in preventing coronary artery aneurysms in children with Kawasaki disease. And there will be a good enough power to demonstrate reasonably small differences associated with using steroids in coronary Z scores as a continuous outcome. So the final achievement I wanted to go through today was talking about this collaboration with the national hubs, which has already been mentioned in some of the talks before me. I tried to sort of summarize the services and the responsibilities that they do for us, and I've categorized these into communication, documents, training, and knowledge. And rather than going through each of these sort of individually, I've just put a few examples, actual examples, the first ones that sprang to mind. There are many, many other successful examples of collaboration with the national hubs that we've had over the years. Because of time, I'm not going to go through each of these points. I will pick out a couple, though. So in France, for example, the French National Hub has really strengthened site communication. That was a difficulty for us at the beginning of the trial. Obviously, the way that studies are conducted in the UK are different to how they are in France. And, you know, the National Hub, you started picking up the phone, they built rapport with their site leads there, and it has made a notable difference in, you know, getting documents from them, implementing the protocol. Another example I want to highlight from here is the Belgium optimising hospital referral pathways for recruitment. So, as I've already mentioned, this has been a difficult study to recruit to. It's a rare patient population. Sometimes we find that Kawasaki patients go to the hospital that is 2 miles down the road rather than the one that opened up for this study. So the Belgium National Hub, alongside the lead PI at Belgium, they identified this issue, they talked about solutions, and they managed to build in hospital referral pathways so that when these patients do appear at these other hospitals, they can come to the hospital that is open for KD CAAP, and so we can get those patients on trial. So, yeah, it's really been a huge amount of effort to get all that data in, and thank you to the national hubs for that. So, unfortunately, we don't have any results for you today. We plan to share our results on the 26th of February next year, so it's coming up. The project will end at the end of April 2025, so until then, we're working towards a database lock at the end of this month, transferring all of the research samples that were part of the sub-studies of the protocol to London by December, completing our site payments by the end of the year, site closeout by the end of January, and then from April 2025 onwards, we're looking at publication and we're looking at dissemination. Now, I've picked these images from our PPI charity group who are called Society. They're the UK Foundation for Kawasaki Disease. They've been really involved with KD CAAP right from that grant application step right at the beginning, and they will be really involved in the dissemination part of this study as well. So some special acknowledgements as well for all the KD CAAP participants and the families that consented to come into this study. And of course to the C4C network, so that's the C4C NIO group, Penta collaborators, and the national hubs. There are more national hubs and more people that we've worked with than on this list, but yeah, this slide is just really to thank you for all your support and ongoing work with us. Thank you.
Molly.